I've owned my Porsche Taycan Cross Turismo for 2.5 years now, and I absolutely love this car to death. I recently made a 2.5 year review here on the channel talking about this being the best car I've ever owned, period. And I've owned quite a few in the past few decades. So if you want to check out my full 2.5 year review, go check that video out. But this car isn't perfect. There are still a lot of things that I absolutely hate about this car, and in this video I'm going to talk about the 7 things I hate about my Porsche Taycan Cross Turismo. Interior storage in the Taycan is abysmal, especially in the front cabin. These 2 cup holders is basically all we get. And you know, if I have a drink, yeah, like I'm not wearing a jacket now because it's warm now, and I like to leave my keys here. So like I can store my phone and I can have a drink. That's about it. My sunglasses are like hidden behind. There's a little bit of storage behind, you know, the screen here, but that is also very, very limited. There's not a lot of storage. So I have my sunglasses there, and then you have this very small armrest where I have room for, yeah, a microfiber cloth and, yeah, just a few painkillers. That's it. Like the door pockets, very small here. I have some, you know, wipes and some just paper for drying, and also that's the passenger one. There's like no storage in this car, and yeah, I hate that. That's like very frustrating sometimes if I have like a passenger and we go for a coffee, like then I have to put my phone here. Like, yeah, it's terrible. But you may be thinking, Chris, why don't you just use the wireless phone charger instead of having your phone in the cup holder? Like, you're not allowed to use it when you're driving. Though that is true, charging your phone you have to do while driving, like if you go for long trips. And the wireless phone charger in this car isn't only completely useless where it only heats your phone. Like, this is one of the early generations. Like, phone chargers in the recent year have gotten a lot better, the wireless ones in cars. But this car's like 2.5 years ago. The Taycan came out like 4 or 5 years ago, and these first generation of wireless phone chargers are terrible. I call them phone heaters. I'm going to show you where it is, because like, even though if it worked, you would never want to use it because it is like inside this very small armrest here. I'm going to show you. Let's see. I mean, it's so tight here, and then it's like all the way, you have to press your phone like towards the side of the there. Now, I don't know if you guys can even see that. That's the phone charger. It's like that. Like, who has their phone like hidden like that? It is so dumb. Like, I understand the idea in a perfect world where you are supposed to, you know, not use your phone ever. But like, I like to use my phone to change songs. Sometimes there's like a message that I just want to keep an eye out on. And that's why like I have this, you know, this here. This is where I place my phone, this phone holder here, which is really nice. And then I put it the wrong way now. I usually have it the other way. And then I can just have a cable like this, and I can always charge my phone, and it doesn't overheat, and it doesn't run out of battery. So yeah, phone charger situation in this car, the wireless phone charger is completely useless, and I hate it. The Taycan has a separate screen for climate control, and I actually like the fact that, you know, not all the functions are here in the infotainment system, because the screen isn't the biggest, and having, you know, dedicated real estate to the HVAC controls here in a different screen, I do appreciate it. I think the idea is great, but what I don't like is that like this screen gets fingerprints so easily, and it really bothers me because the screen is angled at such an angle that it's really easy to see. And like when your interior is clean, you just see those fingerprints. They like stick out like a sore thumb. So like I'm finding myself always wiping the screen, like after like, oh, I just want to have the screen a little bit colder, and from a certain angle from the driver's seat, you're gonna see, you know, that fingerprint. And also the fact that like I don't really mind after 2.5 years. When I made, you know, 7 things I hate about this car a few years ago, I hated the fact that you had to go into the screen to adjust the vents, the direction. You have to go into, let's see, if you press the climate menu here, yeah, and then you can adjust them like that. But you know, I like having cold air to my face, so I really don't adjust them, because when I want cold air to the face, I just turn down the temperature, and when I don't want cold air to my face, I turn up the temperature, and then I'm warm. So I really don't actually mind that, because the way it works with this car, like it's fine. I've set this to this setting like 2 years ago. I haven't touched it since. But the fact that you have like half of the screen down here is to control the upper screen, which is like a really weird idea. Actually don't know how to use it because I haven't like ever done it. Look at this, like you can adjust the upper screen with the lower screen. Why would you like, instead of like having your fingers here, why wouldn't you just touch the screen up there? You know, I get the idea. It's kind of like, you know, BMW iDrive controller where you can control here without like touching the screen, but I mean, it's just easier and less fiddly and less dangerous to just touch the icons when you're touching the screen. So I don't love this setup here. And also you can see that Porsche obviously doesn't love it, because in the new Macan, they have physical HVAC control buttons. In the new Cayenne, they have physical HVAC control buttons. I think also in the new electric Boxster we're going to see next year, they also have physical climate control buttons. The steering wheel buttons are really nice and clicky to use. Like, I really appreciate like the quality. And you also have, I'm going to turn on music there so we don't get a copyright strike. So you have, you know, the scroll wheel to adjust the volume, which is really nice. But the fact that there isn't any volume knob down here, you have these buttons, which I really never use. Just, yeah, I don't like it. It would be very easy to, and I think they've resolved this with the Macan and also the other new Porsches, where you have a physical volume knob. But like the fact that that isn't here, yeah, that really bothers me, because the cars that have it, like the Volvos, the Audis, it is really useful. And I hate the fact that like this doesn't have it. Like, I listen to a lot of music, I turn the music up and down quite frequently, and just having, you know, that adjustability here at your fingertips is really nice. And I hate the fact that this car doesn't have a volume knob. This being an expensive car to start with, it is going to depreciate. That is a given, and not me and not anybody who bought a Taycan like a few years ago was expecting this to keep its value or go up in value, though there were some indications that this car may actually keep its value a lot more than it did, because in Norway, since I bought this, we actually got VAT on the amount above 50,000 euros or 500,000 kroners here in Norway. But what happened is that they sold so many of these cars, and then the year after, interest rates went up, you know, uncertainty with the world economy, that people just can't afford to buy expensive cars anymore. And when I went in to see what I could get in trade for this after owning it for 1.5 years, yeah, I was shocked by the price. I paid 1.2 million kroners for my car, a little bit more than 100,000 euros. And 1.5 years later, like with 25 or 30,000 kilometers, they offered me about 60,000 euros, like 40% less than what I paid for it a year and a half later. The prices of these have come up. Like, I think a year ago, there were like 1,000 Taycans in total for sale, like 500 sedans, maybe 300 sedans, 200 sportbacks, and or Sport Turismos, and 500 Cross Turismos, like around 800 to 1,000. Now, I think they're like only a couple of hundred for sale. So actually, the prices have come up. I can probably get like 65,000 euros for mine now. So that's only a 35% depreciation in 2.5 years. I don't think that is bad. I don't think that is bad. But if you sold this car a year ago, yeah, like the depreciation would have been crazy, but still, that is a lot of money. And yeah, I absolutely hate that. Like, this car has lost so much money. This one isn't gonna come as a surprise. The Taycan, Porsches in general, luxury cars, sports cars are expensive. I knew that going into this car, like purchasing it, but you know, spending this much money, it's hard for me to spend more money on options. Like, I can spec the car a la carte. Like, a few friends of mine, they like, if they can't like afford a Taycan with everything, like with all the options, they're not going to buy one. I'm not that way. Like if I don't see value in an option, even if like it will retain its value better or as good, I'm not going to option it. Like, I'm not going to spend more money on buying something that like I don't see useful. Like, for example, with my e-tron 55 I had here on the channel like 3-4 years ago, I didn't purchase that car with the optional panoramic sunroof, because after having a few Volvo XC90s with a large panoramic sunroof, paying more to get that in the Audi where it was small and tiny. I'm like, yeah, I don't want to pay like 20,000 kroners or 2,000 euros for a small panoramic sunroof. Like, I don't see the value in it. Maybe did I lose money selling the car? Maybe. I don't know. Like, there were a lot of e-tron 55s for sale when I sold my car, the same as like with this car a year ago. Like, it's expensive. Options are very expensive. Like, now in retrospect, maybe if I spent a little bit more money to get the Alcantara or the Racetex roofliner, that would have been worth it. Maybe to get the Burmester sound system. But just those two options are like 100,000 kroners more. Then we're suddenly talking about a much more expensive car that when I'm gonna go to sell it or trade it in, maybe I'm not gonna get any of that back. Like, so it is really hard. But the worst thing about this is, like, if I want to go out and buy a new Taycan now, this new one, and of course that we're talking about the facelift version that has a bigger battery pack. It also has a little bit more performance. I think this does 0 to 100 kilometers an hour in like 5.1 seconds. The new one does it like 4.8 to 4.7. So there's more everything. But spec for spec, that car's like 400,000 kroners. We're talking about like 35,000 euros more expensive, which is just crazy. So yeah, I hate the fact that this car was so expensive, and if I want to go and buy a new Taycan, which is similar, it's going to be even more expensive. Yeah, I really don't like that. Lastly, and this may surprise you if you're not familiar with Norway, with Oslo, with the current situation of electric cars here. Taycans are a dime a dozen, which is crazy because these are expensive cars. Like, the cheapest ones a few years ago, like before we had MAV or VAT, were like 1,000,000 kroners with a little bit of equipment, 100,000 euros, and they are everywhere. Like, compared to the e-tron GT I had, yeah, the e-tron GT is really rare compared to Taycan. So let's drive through an area of Oslo here and see just how many Taycans we can spot. Actually, not a Taycan, but a very beautiful 993 911 with the RS Cup wheels. Wow, that is a beautiful car. There we have a Taycan. And then, without even cutting, we have another Taycan. Yeah, we just started the street. We're like 100 meters down this street. We're gonna see so many Taycans. That is my prediction. But yeah, I didn't even see it, but we have a Taycan in front of us. Look at that. That's like 3 Taycans in less than a minute. Look at that, guys. That is crazy. And I can spot another Taycan like down to the left. Okay, we have Teslas, we have an i3, we have a Leaf, we have an EQA Mini Electric, Tesla. I mean, we have a lot of electric cars, but here, another Taycan. That is actually crazy. And the one we had in front of us also, right? It's not a Taycan, but we actually have an e-tron GT. That was what I was talking about. Like, the e-tron GT is a lot more rare. Like, it's a lot less common. Like, we've seen like 4 or 5 Taycans already, and then this is the first e-tron GT. Oh, Panorama, that's nice. Panorama? Panamera Sport Turismo, that's pretty nice. Let's see if we can spot any more Taycans then. Very busy Saturday and a lot of people trying to cross the roads, but there, another Taycan. That's another Taycan. Yeah, a lot of like pedestrians crossing the roads everywhere, so I really have to be on my toes because people just run out in the streets. And also we have all of these like pedestrian crossings, which is fine, but like people jump out from just about anywhere. Let's see. Oh, that's the Taycan we spotted earlier, the one we were driving behind. But yeah, nothing to my right or nothing to my left. Here we have another one, another Taycan. We haven't seen any Sport Turismos yet, only like Cross Turismos and sedans. Let's see if we can spot a Sport Turismo anywhere. This may be a Sport Turismo. This was a cool nameplate, number plate, 911. So that was a normal sedan, and then we have another sedan over here. Yeah, that's a sedan. The Mamba Green is a pretty cool color. Oh, this is a nice color we haven't spotted. Yeah, this is a Sport Turismo. No, this is a Cross Turismo without the panel roof. But that was nice spec. Yeah, not bad. So what's funny is that we've only been on the main road. Like, we haven't been on these side streets where there are probably even more Taycans, like people living here We're just been on the main street. Here's another one. This is a red one. That's a really nice, nice color. This is a Sport Turismo. We found one. Yeah, is this a GTS? Yeah, this is, oh, well, such a beautiful spec. Yeah, that is lovely. That is a lovely Taycan. Another one. Now we've like taken to the left just to loop around because I didn't want to go, you know, the normal loop I go, because there's a lot of like traffic lights to get back to where we started. But we've only been on like, I don't know, 10 minutes, whatever, 7, 8, 10 minutes, like driving around Oslo, and we've spotted so many Taycans. I mean, you could probably do the same with like a BMW i4, or I mean Kia EV6 or Tesla Model 3, whatever. But like those cars aren't like expensive luxury or sports cars where you're purchasing or buying into, you know, part of buying an expensive car is buying into that exclusivity, right? I mean, that's just the part of buying an expensive car, and spending this much money on a car like that is special, feels special, and is very special like anywhere else in the world except in Oslo, because like easily we have the highest like Taycan density anywhere in the world. I don't think anybody can debate that. Beautiful 911 convertible in front of us. That's a real nice one. Carrera 4, but also another Taycan to the left. Look over there, it's gonna pass us. Is that a sedan? Yeah, I think that's a sedan. That's a nice spec. I mean, that dark gray color, not my favorite, but I like the spec with the wheels. So yeah, I really hate the fact that Taycans are a dime a dozen. I hope I showed you that here in this part of the video. Like, they are everywhere. And granted, we are in a nice part of town, but this is the part of town where I, you know, frequently go to bars, I go to eat, I go to cafes, because like my friends live in this area, and this is closest, this is my part, the downtown part of my side on town, like my side in the town. Like, this is the west side of Oslo. I live further west, like a 10-15 minute drive from here. So when I go into town, this is the part of town where I go into. Like, this is where I frequent. So this is where like I'm gonna spot all the Taycans. But yeah, I hate the fact that the Taycan is a dime a dozen here in Oslo. So there we go, guys. Those were the 7 things I hate about my Porsche Taycan Cross Turismo. And hate may be a strong word. Dislike or don't like may be more befitting in most of these, but yeah, I can't make, you know, a title that complicated. So that's why this video was called the 7 things I hate about my Porsche Taycan Cross Turismo. So hopefully they will address this with the next generation, which should be only a few years out, maybe 3-4 years out. That would be very interesting. So guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please drop me a thumbs up down below, and for more car content, as always, please subscribe. See you guys later, and goodbye.